2.5 hours in, which means we're nowhere close to the end. Got lots to cover here in Division III basketball. We're doing it all the way at least until 10 o'clock tonight on the East Coast. So join us. Email us, hoopsville@d3hoops.com. Join us on Facebook where we're simulcasting the show, facebook.com/hoopsville. Join us on Twitter @D3Hoopsville and #Hoopsville. Have we covered all the bases? We have Instagram, though we're not really following that as well, but we're there too. A few of you have noticed that I completely botched the name of the school for the next guest. I apologize. Clearly 2.5 hours in, and I've already had enough. It is not Centenary or whatever I said. It's Centenary out of New Jersey, playing really good basketball out of the CAC, including a win over Cabrini, who has certainly been the class of the conference for most of the last few years. Now they are sitting second place behind Marywood by a game and tied with Newman. Guess who's ahead on the schedule? This is why we time these things sometimes. Well, we want to know what's going on with the Cyclones. They're certainly playing some good basketball. And joining us on the City of Salem Skype hotline is their head coach, Rose Haller. Coach, welcome to Hoopsville.
Thanks for having me.
Did I say Haller correctly?
You did.
Good. Just wanted to, because I already screwed up the name of the school.
You're on a roll now.
Yeah, I am, exactly. Thanks for taking the time. Listen, this is a great season for this squad. 14-13 last year and 8-17 the year before, and this is a team that hovers around 500 most seasons. You can go back to 2009 when they were 17-9. So to be 16-4, 9-2, and a major factor in the conference has got to be rewarding.
It's been a real fun year with this group of kids, and being my first year, I'm really happy with the way that they have bought in and their work ethic, which is something we talked about in the beginning of the season, is learning to work as hard as they can.
Yeah, that's the thing that's interesting, too, is this is your first season with the Cyclones. And obviously, a lot of first-year coaches will come in with expectations. Can I turn a program around, or can I raise them to another bar, or another level, or something along the way? Is this even in the realm of where you expected to be when you started this season or started the job?
Absolutely. It's one of the first things I talk to them about is winning a championship. We are upperclassmen loaded. I have actually been watching them play for a few years. Junior Amber Reisenwitz played for me at the high school level, and my youngest daughter was recruited by Centenary last year, so we saw quite a few games, and she's here now on campus. So the first thing we talked about is, do you want to win a championship? And the answer, of course, was yes, and then we went to task to try to do that.
Again, in a conference that Cabrini has certainly, I wouldn't say in control, but certainly been on top of most of the way. Newman is in the conversation this year. Cabrini is 10-10 this season. They certainly lost a lot from their last few years, but they're still 8-3 in the conference. Gwynedd Mercy is 10-10, but 8-3 in the conference. It's an interesting top right now, and you certainly have taken advantage of maybe that power vacuum, as it were, able to jump into the top of the conference and get into the conversation. But more importantly, you're still doing it at this point in the season. A lot of these kind of rebuilds, sometimes the second half of the conference schedules when things get really tough.
Right. Well, and I think, we're just starting to play well. We first had to learn to play hard, and we've won some games. The Cabrini game, we did not play well at all, especially offensively. We just played as hard as we could. And I thought last night down at Cedar Crest, we played well on offense. So we're still learning, and the thing that I tried to sell to these guys early is if you'll just go out and do your job as hard as you can every night, then at some point we'll start playing well and good things will happen.
You look at the schedule, and you have a loss to FDU Florham, certainly a powerhouse team, and lost by 40+. You lost to Drew by 11, and you lost to Gwynedd Mercy by 20, and you lost to Newman by 4. 3 of those 4 were not close. And I've asked this a few coaches already, it's almost like when the games aren't a win or they're not going to go your way, that things just completely unravel. But the more important thing is you don't have a losing streak. You got right back on the horse. How has the team been so good at ignoring what have been really tough games?
Well, again, I think that the upperclassmen for us they've been through a lot, and I think they really are enjoying having the opportunity to win, having the opportunity to be in the mix. And the senior class is just a great group of kids. They're good leaders, they're hard workers, and they've kind of decided to do that. I mean, it's coming from within them. So, when we've had those losses, we've been able to regroup and just kind of go back to our main focus is just to work as hard as you can, and that makes it easy because we don't talk always about winning. We talk about how hard we're going to work, and I think that leads to winning.
5 seniors on the squad, and that's obviously the leadership you're referring to. And they lead in many ways, including in the stat sheet. The leading scorer on this team is Mallory George, 14.5 points a game and 11.1 rebounds. Awfully nice to have a double-double average. By the way, she also hands out 3.8 assists and shoots 49% from the floor. Not too bad. And then Rachel Edwards, 11.6 points a game, 9.7 from Heather Yaros, 8 points from Julia Present, and so on and so forth. But when you have that ability to score, rebound, and pass out assists from George, everything else is gravy.
Right, and Mallory George does so much for us that that is not in the stat sheet. She normally guards the best player. Just her presence on the court is comforting, I think, and she's a great leader. She's a warrior. She hates to lose, and you got to love that in a kid. And she's always the hardest worker on the court, night in and night out. She comes and does her job.
And on top of that conversation of the 5 seniors, those 4 players we mentioned, 2 seniors, 2 juniors, it is that upperclassman leadership. Did you sense a change in the locker room? I mean, obviously you weren't there last year, but I mean, when you walk in, you probably saw a certain demeanor when you took the job. Did you see a change in that demeanor, or was that demeanor there the whole time?
Well, I think this team's always had the basis. I mean, they've stuck together through 4 coaches, and they've stuck together. They're still friends off the court, and to me, that was something that showed they had some heart. The change came because I demanded, and in the beginning they resisted, but I keep demanding and they keep stepping up to the plate, and now I think it's becoming confidence. I think they're gaining confidence. They're seeing that they really can do the things that I saw in them, and they're starting to have fun with it, which is that's a dangerous weapon to have when you're having fun during the season. So the change is happening slowly, but we've kind of had to fast track everything because I've only took over 2 months ago, and we have a lot to accomplish. Yeah. In a little bit of time.
So we mentioned you're in the mix for this run at the top. You've got the Marywood and Newman games already behind you. For those who aren't sure, you beat Marywood back on November 30th by 3. Newman tripped you up 50-46 back in the middle of January. They are your next 2 opponents. Your advantage is they are at your place. You got Saturday against Newman, Marywood coming up next week. Obviously, these are key games, but how great is it for you that you're going to be able to do them at least at home?
I think it's great that we're home. I mean, there's a certain amount of excitement here for the kids right now. We've been getting a pretty good fan base, which is nice. And so it's, of course, nice not to have to travel and to be able to have the game at your own gym and get up and just do your normal routine. So I think the kids and myself, we're really excited about the next 2 games. It's nice to be in the mix rather than just, playing to ruin someone's season.
Here's the trick I got, though, for you. Obviously, 2 big games here for Newman and Marywood, and by the end of it, you could be on top of the conference. Obviously, you got to play the games. But then you got Rosemont, Cairn, and Immaculata on the other side of that. Cairn, Immaculata in the middle of the conference, Rosemont towards the bottom of the conference, 2 of them on the road, and then the final one against Immaculata at home. How important is it not only to play well in these next 2, but then not have a letdown against the next 3?
Right, and we've talked about that, and we've actually had some lessons on letdowns this year. We've come out and played some of those middle of the pack teams and been down 14 or 15 and had to fight back. And again, for this team, they don't have that experience, so it's hoping that they listen to me of this is what we need to do because they haven't had the opportunity to be where they are right now. And so we just got to go out and handle business, but. Again, I think that senior leadership is going to pull us through those times.
Again, it's an amazing run that this team is going on. I'm fascinated to see, just the ebbs and the flows of it. You take a loss early, then you get back on the winning streak, a loss, then 2 losses, and now you're on this winning streak. You've won 10 out of 12, besides 2 out of 3 in the middle of that. It just seems like you. No matter how this season ends, it's good for the program. It's good for the players. They've got to be thrilled with just how the season and how the program's turned around.
Right, and we talked a lot to the senior class about what legacy will you leave, and I know they've had a few disappointing years here, but one of the main goals for me was not to let the senior class leave on a note of disappointment, and so they've really stepped up to the plate. But to me, I'm going to keep demanding more because they have it, they can do this, and as long as they keep working hard, then we'll go with whatever happens, and we can deal with it.
I'm very curious. What drew you to this job?
Well, it's kind of funny. It's opened a few times, and I've
Yep.
looked at it a few times. I, this is really what I love to do the most. But my daughter was recruited here by Coach Kendall, and really liked Coach Kendall, and called me one night. She happened to be down here on campus and said, "Coach quit, and are you going to apply for the job?" And I had actually coached my youngest in high school, and I didn't want to leave the year before when it opened, and I just felt like it was the perfect time to retire from my public school teaching job and try something, go back to something I like in life. Both children are out of the house. It gives me the opportunity to do something that I like to do now.
Yeah. Hey, you're gone. It's time for me to play and have some fun. And the job kept opening. It was probably one of those, hey, you really want to apply here? Come on.
Right. It just seemed like, people say you're in the right place at the right time. It just seemed that the last time it opened, I was in the right place at the right time and with the right situation.
You're a former D2 coach. I believe you graduated from the same school you coached, East Stroudsburg. Anything you've had to adjust to in the sense of the difference in the divisions outside of obviously the scholarships? Outside of that, I usually consider D2 and D3 to be somewhat similar.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter where I've coached it. If it's been in the youth leagues or the high school level or the college level, I try to judge potential and coach to people's potential, and the expectation then is the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I hate to lose, so I always try to coach that way. So really, Division II and Division III, I think, like you said, the biggest thing is the scholarship and competing with. At this level, not being able to give scholarship, but we have other things to offer that I think are equally attractive.
Well, Coach, I'm thrilled at the season. I'm also fascinated by the conference race, especially with the next two games being so pivotal in it. I wish the Cyclones good luck. We certainly will keep an eye on them and look forward to how the season will finish. A tradition on this show is we always give the coach the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuning in?
Final word is I'm really proud of my kids, the excitement they've brought to the program, and I hope that can continue for them.
I'm sure it will. It is great to see the progress that this program has done under your first year. Good luck the rest of the way, especially in the next two, and we'll look forward to talking to you down the road.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Absolutely. Rose Haller joining us again from Centenary, New Jersey. The Cyclones, again, in the thick of it in the CSAC. They are 16-4 overall, 9-2 in the conference. Big games against Newman and Marywood coming up in the next two, but they've still got 5 to play before the conference tournament starts.